Hey guys, welcome to the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast. I'm Rob, this is Rich. We are two Englishmen already starting to have one hand on the trophy after an emphatic victory over the West Indies. This isn't premature. This has been validated by Twitter, where people have voted that England are favourites to win the World Cup after today. Welcome to the podcast. We're going to talk about the England game to start with before moving on to Australia, South Africa.
Rob, what an introduction, mate. I think there's probably going to be quite a few upset Indians out there if that's the case. They've not even played a game today, yet until today, sorry.
Yeah.
England were good. Yeah, England were great in the first innings, mate. God, we'll get straight into it, but I'm not sure with that batting. Suddenly 55 looked a big score.
It did look a big score, mate. Good job it's 20 overs and not 100 balls.
Oh, man, geez, it's ridiculous. Yeah, West Indies were channeling that inner Netherlands for those watching the qualifying side of things. 55, 14.2 overs it lasted. It's not a bad batting lineup. I don't know why it was such a shambles. Chris Gale top scored with 13. He was just stood there at the non-strikers, it felt like, for about half an hour whilst everyone else was getting out, just leaning on his bat like the old pro, like the old club cricketer that does that, tutting every time someone gets caught on the boundary to the old twirler. Yeah, but it was a shambles, wasn't it? I mean, England won the toss. They decided to put West Indies in. So far, so good. Yeah, everyone's happy. West Indies, would have probably had a bowl as well, but, it's not the end of the world. First off, the selection, Wood was missing. That's a bit of a concern. I think he's had an injection in some part of his body just to make sure he's fit for the next game. So he was missing. They went with the extra batter, which solved the problem initially, at least, of how do we get Morgan in the same team as the likes of Livingston and Dawid Malan.
Yep.
Well, we'll come to Dawid Malan because I'm not actually sure if Dawid Malan played.
Did he play? He paid £7, but he didn't get a game.
He fielded. He got a catch, so he can put something in the column, can't he? But yeah, West Indies 55 all out. It was just a bit of a procession, wasn't it? First off, Moeen Ali was taking the new ball. Samit Patel-esque, it's got to be said. One of the finest spinners and opening bowlers in T20 cricket. Moeen Ali with the new ball, and he ended up taking 4 wickets. He did
two wickets.
Two wickets. Sorry. Oh, I'm going to get that. Yeah, sorry. I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he got the man of the match, didn't he? Because it was the key wickets he took. So Moeen Ali from the top, Rob, first off, it worked. Morgan had some faith in him at last.
It was brilliant, mate. It was absolutely brilliant. His first over had a 6 in it. And the West Indies always score their runs in boundaries. It's just how they play cricket. They are happy to take on dot balls because they know they are good enough to go over the boundary. And I think it was the last podcast, we were talking about it and saying, actually, teams are struggling to get the ball over the boundary. And Moeen Ali was perfect because he built up dot balls and then was able to go and pick up wickets. He picked up the wickets of Simmons absolutely beautifully. And then Hetmeyer as well. Hetmeyer just hit him for 2 fours and then got one that he just didn't quite time. But the beauty of Moeen Ali was the dot balls. He bowled 24 balls in the innings, no wides, no balls. I really like that. And 18 dot balls, 3 full overs of dot balls thrown into it. It's an incredible achievement and superb control from someone who I think just before the tournament started, we both went, you know what, his bowling can go a bit. He could be in trouble because he's good, but people can get hold of him.
I don't remember saying that at all. No, definitely not me. So it really was. And the fact that he bowled through as well, I don't know if that was the initial plan. It'd be interesting to see, go back to the drawing board that Morgan had been scribbling on to see what his plan was. But Moeen obviously took the first over and he bowled through. So he bowled his 4 overs through the power play, 2 for 17, as you've put there. After the power play, where were we? 31 for 4 at the power play. You've almost won a game there, haven't you? 6 overs. At least you've got a good start. You might not have won it, let's say, but you've at least got a good start. Evan Lewis was the first man to go. Woke got him caught by Moeen Ali, Mr. in the game. And then it was, absolutely. And then it was Lendl Simmons went after that caught by Livingston as well. We'll get into this as well, but I've got to say the fielding for England was exceptional. Yes. The catching was just top draw, simple as, wasn't it? It's proper pants and socks performance in the field for, I think... Anyone not sure of the term pants and socks? What is it, Rob?
Basics. They've done the basics.
Top
really well.
Drawer. Where do you store them?
Top drawer.
Pants and socks is top drawer. Where else do you keep them?
I don't. Well,
Oh, this is a great cricketing term. I can't believe I'm having to teach you this on the podcast live. Sorry about this, people.
Every day's a school day, mate. But where do I keep my pants and socks? Second draw down.
Oh, well, that you're not performing to your full abilities anymore.
No, I'm not. So, I'm going to change it. It's going to change my life.
Absolutely. So after Lendl Simmons, Shimron Hetmeyer came in, and what I loved about him today, not the blue hair, all the blue hair was exceptional. He came in without a helmet on. I love to see it with his spinners working from one end. What do you need a lid for? It gets in the way, doesn't it? I can't stand it. Hetmeyer came in. He was next man out. And then it was a procession. Dwayne Bravo came in early. He came in at 5, up from 7 or 8. We still saw this in England innings as well. It seemed like they were picking names out of a hat for the batters of who was coming in where. Timor Mills came in 6 over. He got himself a wicket, didn't he? In the end, he got himself Chris Gale. He got a Nicholas Ferran as well, but he looked sharp. His radar was off a little bit later on, but he looked quick. That 6 over, the last one of the power play, he was pushing it through. You saw Chris Gale just taking big old swings. Looked like he was on the first. What do we call it? I don't really know golfing parlance, but he was on the first tee. That's it. Just trying to hit down the fairway, wasn't he? And he was just getting beat for pace. So Mills looked sharp.
Yeah, that's good though. That's good, especially you haven't got Wood in this lineup, especially if you've not got Jofra Archer in your squad. You need someone with that ability. And the thing that I like about him, and I think that's changed over time, 1, he's got better control over what he's doing generally. And 2, he's got an absolutely exceptional slower ball. And you put that together in a 2020 innings, it actually becomes a really, really powerful tool to be able to unleash. And left arm, quality left armers always do better.
It's nice to see, isn't it? It's just it's what Sam Curran could be. Sorry, Sam. We got to the power play at 31 for 4. It just, like I say, it was a procession from there, wasn't it? Chris Jordan struck second ball for DJ Bravo. Nicholas Ferran went caught behind off Mills. This was the one where I was saying his radar was a bit off, but then he suddenly got that ball right. It's the surprise delivery sometimes, isn't it? If you fired a couple down down leg side, and then you suddenly got one right. It is a surprise ball. Dre Russ came and went second ball. He was out for 2. Was it a slider just out the front of the hand, wasn't it?
Great forward defense. Great forward defense. If you've there's a Twitter clip going around, and it's just what your profile picture would be like. And it's a picture of him playing the forward defense, and then there's the full version with the stumps on the floor just behind it. It's fantastic.
Is this a little bit like the picture you guys share of me every year for the last 12 years of me looking straight and then stump cartwheeling behind me?
It's one of the finest bits of local photography of all time, mate. It's classic.
Look quick. But yeah, Dre Russ came and went. We'll get into Adil Rashid in a sec. Pollard holed one out onto the long on. And then Obed McCoy was a nice man out. It was just a procession. The only man hitting double figures was boss of the world, Chris Gale, 13. Everybody else, single digits. Hardly bound. I think there was only another boundary after Gale. Who we got? Dwayne Bravo hit 1 boundary.
Yeah.
3 boundaries for Gale, 2 for Hetmeyer. That was the lot. Oh, sorry, a 6 for Evan Lewis, obviously off the first over. But it was just went through him. And Adil Rashid came into the attack. Probably rightly where he did come in. Obviously, Ali, it was clear it was right what he did. Adil Rashid, 4 wickets, 2 runs, 2.2 overs.
Yeah, brilliant. 12 dot balls, mate, in 2.2 overs as well. 12 dot ball. He's only bowled 14 balls. The others have been 2 singles thrown into the mixer.
It's amazing, isn't it? He bowls Dre Russ through the gate. Pollard, the hold out. McCoy, just picked it long on. And then Rampal. I love this on Cricket Info. Obviously, we have to use a resource where we're just as we're talking. Dirty heave and Rampal is castled. I don't know who wrote that, but that's not very nice to the Derbyshire legend Ravi Rampal.
Oh, you know what? If he'd hit the ball, it would have been a fantastic shot. So that's cricket. But Rashid was awesome, mate. But I feel like the West Indies, they've played this game. This is how they play the game. You look at the stats since the last T20 World Cup. I say you look at the stats. I've got them in front of me. They score their runs. 65.27% of their runs come in boundaries. That is massive. Way above any other nation that's playing T20 international cricket, mate. 10% more than how Australian play the game. And if you go down to Sri Lanka, you're talking 13% more. So it's how they play. But we said these wickets are, there is a slowness to them. People are struggling with the timing. This isn't the natural ball coming on environment that a lot of people are used to. And they've fallen foul of it. And maybe a little bit naively, but maybe this is the wake-up call they're going to need and going, right, okay, we need to change our game plan and our approach and make sure that when we're playing big shots, it can't just be off a length because it's not quite there. We've either got to be at the pitch of the ball off a spinner and go for it. You can't just be holing out and throwing away wickets.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll get on to England's batting in a minute, but one thing Butler did show is that it doesn't really matter if the ball's up there or not. You can play your shots, but you can't play them off the stumps, it seems.
Yeah.
This is where you're getting in trouble. I don't know what it is with these tracks at the moment, but it's going to be really difficult. And maybe these games, the best time to have an absolute implosion of a performance is the first game of a competition.
Yes.
At least you've got time to adapt. You don't want to think you've done okay for a couple of games, then suddenly lose the plot. So this is the time for West Indies to reassess, regroup. For England, I hope it wasn't too easy. But I think the way they went about their business, the work, with the bowlers and the fielders, captaincy was exceptional. Changing bowlers around at the right times. Everybody performed. Wokes 1 for 12. Tyrrell Mills 2 for 17 off 4, the most expensive, and that's 4.25 and over. 14 dot balls. That's pretty good for me. If it wasn't for the 3 wides, I think we're looking at slightly different figures again for Mills. So it was an exceptional performance from England, rightly one of the favourites. But the chase was confusing. I think that's the nicest way I can put it. England did knock it off. 8.2 overs it took them. I predicted 7 overs at the start of this innings when somebody was worried about, it's just 3.5 and over. The England cricket fan has a twitch. As soon as we get up against a small score, we're just thinking, oh God, here we go. England they clinched a 6-wicket win, 70 balls remaining. So you look at that and you think, well, that's pretty good, but 4 wickets down. It was a bit of a confused attack. So Roy and Butler opened up. 21 for 1 after 3.1 overs before Jason Roy got himself out. Just a bit of a nothing shot, really, wasn't it? Just flipped up to a sharp catch from Gale, got to be said. 100th catch, apparently. 100th catch in T20 internationals for Chris Gale. So doff the cap to Gale. Butler hung around.
Yeah,
he did a bit of a Gale, like I say, just standing at the non-strikers end while there was chaos all around. Bairstow came in at 3. Then Ali, then Livingston, then Morgan. You'd be forgiven to wonder if Dawid Malan was injured or if he was actually playing in this game, but he did not bat. He was next to Chris Wokes in the batting order when he should have been in at 3. So first things first, let's just ask the question really of each other. Dawid Malan, what on earth was going on? First of all, what's the logic behind the decision, but also what do we think about the logic behind that decision?
So I think you've got to look at the logic of if we knock them off in 5 overs, we've put our net run rate into a far superior position than probably anyone else could achieve, meaning any sort of ties during the group stage, we're going to end up on top on. We're going to win this game. Let's go knock it off. But it is interesting. Things like this can really upset a batting lineup for the longevity of the tournament, for the next game they go into. People all of a sudden haven't had bat on ball during the competition. Dawid Malan, slight question mark about his position anyway at the moment.
Yeah.
But Dawid Malan, sorry, mate, you're coming in at number 7 in this team when we need to score quickly. So what are you saying to him, when you're chasing 180 next time, where you need to score quickly on these wickets?
I don't understand it. You're not chasing 90, 100 or something where you're like, oh, actually, we really want it. This deck's amazing. The team we've just bowled out have just battered like idiots. Let's get on with it because it's a great day. This is not what it was today. There was, England bowled fantastically well, but it wasn't that this was just a perfect deck and West Indies made mistakes. It was a tough deck to play on.
Yeah.
So Roy and Butler, top of the order, you send your openers out. That's absolutely fine. Quick question, just yes or no. Do you think Dawid Malan could have come in at 3 and scored 20 off 19 balls?
Yes. Yeah, right, he would have scored 20 off 19 balls, mate, because that is exactly how Dawid Malan plays cricket.
Yeah, and that is exactly what the contributions of Bairstow, Ali, Livingston and Morgan were combined. So it was a bit of a pig's ear of a chase for me, I think. And it's just one of those. It's a lesson to be learned, isn't it? I don't think it was fair on Malan. If you're going to bat him at 3, bring him in at 3 with the order of, he's not an idiot, with the order of, get on with it. We want to make sure the net run rate. I mean, England have achieved a fantastic net run rate, which will probably help them in the competition. They're sat at 3.970.
Yeah,
in the positive. That's a great head start. It's almost like 2.5 points, isn't it, that they've got already? But I just didn't understand the rush. Yes, it was nice to win this as quickly as possible, but I didn't understand the rush. I think if we'd have batted properly, if Malan had come in and just put the bad ball away, we'd have knocked this off and over earlier.
Let me make this clear as well, that Josh Butler, since the last T20 World Cup, has scored at a 139.46 strike rate David Milana scored at a 139.33 and Johnny Bairstow scored at 145. 145 is exceptional, but you're talking minuscule numbers.
Yeah. And it's, yes, we accept that Milan is one of those players that will go slower early, but we're not talking about one run off 10 balls. We're talking, he goes at about a run a ball early in his innings. Yeah. And then he will accelerate as we get to the back end of it. Yeah. I don't see the problem in that. This is all you needed today. Butler was hitting the ball cleanly. Milan comes in, he gets his one off his ball. He doesn't waste too many with dot balls. Butler comes in and smashed it from the other. Butler was playing really well, really strong through the offside. He's getting on top of the bounce. He was driving. He looked pretty imperious at times, really, a couple of those boundaries. We didn't need to do this, in my opinion. I just think it was a bit of a shambles. So Bairstow was 9, caught and bowled Hussain. He got 2 caught and bowls. He also got Livingston. In between, there was a run out. We need to talk about that in a second. Yeah, Moeen Ali was run out. We did not need that. It was a bit of a... Yeah. It was one of those where Moeen Ali had basically completed a single, but when Butler turned him round and said, no, go back. So there was a run there. And it felt to me as if Butler was ball watching a little bit. And it was Moeen Ali's call as well, because it was behind the wicket, wasn't it? Yeah. So that's on Butler for that is for me. Which catch was it? Which was stunning. It was the Livingston catch, wasn't it?
One. Yeah.
Good Lord. That was one of the finest caught and bowls I've ever seen.
You could have said it was a leading edge to the bowler.
Do you know, I love how many times I hear it on the commentary, how many times they actually say, leading edge. But it was a big question of that, though. Why on earth did they take so long to decide whether this was a caught and bowled or not? They gave it a soft signal out on the field, but you could see that the ball didn't move. It was like, just let the man celebrate. It was a catch, great catch.
It was a moment of VAR ruining football as TV umpiring ruining cricket. Like, just an amazing moment. Let him have it. Need about 6 runs to win off about 20 overs left. So just let it go.
Yeah, big time. That's for me. I would have liked to have seen another angle on the run out, to be fair. I'm sure it was out. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to question the decision. But as they saw the side on, it looked like the left hand, which didn't have the ball, or whichever one it was, sort of came past the stumps at the same time as the hand that had the ball in.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell from the angle they were showing which hand had knocked the bails. I'm sure if you showed the other angle, his left hand didn't have the ball, would have been miles away. But I would have loved to have seen that second angle.
Yeah, spend more time on that.
Yeah, they don't show that. But then this incredible catch, and it really was one of the finest catches you'll see.
Yeah.
Kudos to Akil Hussain for him. Morgan was there at the end, 7 not out of 7 balls. Well done, Owen. And Butler was 24 off 22. I did like the fact, first off, credit where it's due, his captaincy was exceptional in the field. But I do like the fact that the commentators are attempting to maybe just change things a little bit. And they're saying that the England setup see Owen Morgan as an all-rounder, Rob. So it's not just about the runs he scores.
It's the leadership that he brings. He's the leader of the locker room.
Freaking break, people. Score some runs, Owen. That's all you need to do. Yeah. And continue doing what you're doing as a captaincy, which is what we expect of you. So Hussain 2 for 24, Ravi Rampal 1 for 14, Obed McCoy none for 12 off 2, and Karen Pollard just came in just 2 at the very end. And he went for 6 off his point 2. So a convincing win for England. England are up and running. Happy days. Can't complain. Even though we have done a little bit.
Can't complain, mate. MVP, Moeen Ali, exceptional. 18 dot balls out of 4 overs is absolutely
superb.
In the power play. Power play doing that.
Superb.
Just, very, very proud of that performance. And when I woke up this morning, I don't get to see the games live. I have to watch them the next day because they're overnight. I think it's a 3 a.m. kickoff in New Zealand. And I just I don't know what I'm walking in for. And then I was just watching a procession of wickets and just shots. It's 2020, you got to go. But it is one of the risks with the West Indies team. But I'm sure they will bounce back better and stronger for this performance.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. I've got no doubt. So I never like to write off a West Indies team at any point, even during that game. When they started getting a few wickets, I was like, uh-oh.
I've got to say, the Twitter gang got it right. We put out who wins today, England or West Indies. And actually, it was pretty split, but 54.5% said England were going to win. And they came through. And also 50% have certainly said that they're going to go on and win the World Cup now. So,
Oh, good Lord. Okay. Yeah. Well, England next up on Wednesday, Bangladesh. Bangladesh have got Sri Lanka, haven't they, today? And we've also got a matchup that one or two people might be interested in. India, Pakistan is also today as well. So some great cricket ahead. But we've got one more game to get to, Rob. Australia, South Africa, they kicked off the tournament. They kicked off the Super 12 section of the tournament. The tournament is already underway. This is a 13th match. This was the 13th match. Qualifiers, give them some respect, people. So South Africa, Australia, we had South Africa batting first. Now, this was a bit of a bizarre one, wasn't it, as well? It went one way, and then it started to think it's going to go another way. But South Africa batting first got off to a bad start, 2 down. Bavuma and Van der Zusen was gone pretty early, 2 for 16. Then it was a bit of a couple of more wickets we'll get into, de Kock and Klaassen, but they rebuilt really well. And then again, they lost a number of wickets. I think they lost, what was that 4 wickets or 3 wickets pretty quickly in the 80s.
Yeah.
But then the tail started wagging. Aiden Markram hung around as well. He did pretty well as well. But it was just a weird batting card for South Africa that could have been a lot worse than what it was. So they did end up batting themselves into a position at 118 for 9 off the 20, thanks to Kagiso Rabada's 19 not out at the end. They could have actually took this game to Australia. And I think Australia was a little bit nervous, even though 118 for 9 usually shouldn't be much of a worry.
Yeah, should be all right. But interesting, mate.
Yeah, I mean, Markram, he's one of them players a few years ago. I thought he was going to become the next great opener in world cricket. In all forms, pretty much. He's not quite, but he's not achieved that yet. He's still a good international player, and he was the anchor man, wasn't he? He got himself 40 off 36. He was the 8th wicket to go, coming in at 4. So it shows you what a knock he put in. Quinton de Kock, one of the finest bowled Hazelwood, is written in the book, but one of the finest bits of hard luck, pal, you'll ever see. Ballooned off his thigh pad. De Kock's looking as if, let's go for a run, boys. The ball just balloons up and just lands a couple of inches in front of the stumps and cruelly bounces and spins into the stumps and bowls him.
Yeah.
Bizarre. I don't think I've seen one quite as loopy and as brutal as that one.
No, a little bit unlucky, but I think...
A little bit?
yeah, a lot unlucky. I think that the game-changing points for me, and we've seen it throughout this World Cup so far, is 1 brings 2. The old age adage of cricket, 2nd over wicket, 3rd over wicket. Then you go for a huge break, but then you get to the 14th over and 15th over and 3 wickets fall within space of 6 balls. That keeps happening in this competition because it is hard to come in against spin and get moving. And I think Australia, one of their weaknesses is they are trying to get 4 overs out of Glenn Maxwell, who is not bad, but he's not a world-class spinner. But today he was brilliant. He went at 6s. Not the most expensive bowler. Mitchell Starc went at 8s, but there's not a lot of wiggle room. The next guy you're bringing in is a Mitch Marsh, who potentially could be a little bit of fodder, but they got a lot out of Maxwell. And Adam Zampa was fantastic bowling his spin today as well. 10-dot balls thrown into the mixer. But it is a strong team bowling lineup when you've got Hazelwood and Cummins as your first 2 change bowlers, both getting in 14, 15 dots apiece and going at economy rate of 4. South Africa just got bogged down. And it is the same story of a lot of this World Cup. Teams are just getting bogged down. And the scoring at 1s and 2s and finding boundaries is actually, it's a high commodity at the moment. It's really hard to achieve. And it could be the downfall of many a good team that they're just not quite working out how to score runs on these pitches and on these wickets.
Yeah, and just coming back to Maxwell for a second, he did get the 1 big wicket. Temba Bavuma, the skipper at the top of the order, he's the only player that looked like he was on a decent track. And no disrespect to the track, but 12 runs off 7 balls, put 2 away for boundaries already. And Maxwell cleaned him up, didn't he? Yeah. So he repaid the faith put in him to give him the new ball alongside Mitch Starc. I've just got to talk quickly about the dodgy Barnett situation in the Australia camp. It needs addressing, though. Glenn Maxwell's got a top knot. Yeah. He reckons it's because they don't have a barber, so he's got to keep it out of his eyes. Come on, mate. I'm not sure about that one. And then you've got half the rest of the team look like they've just entered sort of basic training in an 80s, 80s sort of army film, where they've all got dodgy, someone's got the clippers out on them and done a bad job. Even worse than the job I do on mine. So, Aussies, they're just, if it's not the moustaches when T20 starts, there's always a dodgy Barnett going around in competitions, isn't there? So they're going to win that award for sure. Although Shimron Hetmeyer's up there as well with his blue do as well. Wait till
the Kiwis turn up, mate. There's always a few dodgy tashes and mullets going on in those lineups. It's a thing of pride, actually. I like it.
You idiots. Okay. So as we South Africa stumbled the way through to 118 for 9, as we've said. Australia, you think they're going to knock this off easy, eh? Well, it was 121 for 5 in the end, 19.4 overs. They took it down 2 balls remaining. Took it very, very close. It was all down in the end to Marcus Stoinis. He found the rope 3 times. One in the penultimate over was so key. It cannot be understated. Arguably one of the finest knocks of the tournament so far, just with the pressure. It was a 24 off 16 balls. Fantastic. Matthew Wade as well, the wicketkeeper batsman, another one with a dodgy barnet, I think. 15 off 10 balls as well for him. Plenty of starts in this team, apart from Aaron Finch, who went very, very early. He went in the second over, didn't he? For Andrew. I always want to call him Anrich Nortje, but I think it's like Nakia or something like that. It sounds like an old phone. Yeah. But I should give more respect on him because he's a sharp bowler. But I like calling him Anrich Nortje. So that's what we're going to call him. He's got a bit of naughty pace, hasn't he, Rob? Eh?
He has. He's got a bit about him.
Yeah, exactly. So he got Aaron Finch, who's their key player early. And then, lots of starts. Warner, 14 off 15. Mitch Marsh coming in at 3. 11 off 17. Not sure we want that there, Mitch. Steve Smith was probably one of the finest players in this innings. 35 off 34. I'm going to come back to him in 1 second. And Maxwell, 18 off 21. We're talking catches a lot at the moment. Charles Amini was probably the catch of the qualifying section for Papua New Guinea. Akil Hussain for the caught and bowled off Livingston is sensational. But please go and see Aiden Markram's catch of Stephen Smith off the aforementioned Nortje. Simply superb. We love a good catch here. He sprinted round, hasn't he, from long on, I think it was, and just laid out full 2-handed catch. None of this one-handed one for the cameras. Give it a go. Oh, unlucky, mate. Yeah. He went 2 hands. He's not dropping this one. Snaffled. Absolutely sensational.
Yeah, absolute class, mate. I just thought it was runs because he just played a similar
nowhere near it.
Almost the ball before, and I was like, it's just the same. It's just the same. And the commentators were the same. They were like, that's runs again. Good shot, Smith. Here comes flying Adrian Markram.
Super Markram. Yeah, so that was exceptional. South Africa really did kind of put a shift in, didn't they? They worked so hard. It's unreal. Nobody got after the South African bowlers. 1 for 28 for Rabada, solid as ever. The 2 spinners as well. They went for under 6 and under a run of ball, as did Nortje. Pretorius went for a fraction over. Pretorius would be kicking himself. I think it was that one of the overs. I think they punched a 4 off him.
Yes.
Just going for a slightly shorter ball, wasn't it? Not a short ball, but just one that I think it was Stoinis that got hold of. And it's just frustrating for South Africa. I think they thought probably 16, 17, 18 overs, they thought they were going to win that game. And that's a cruel moment because we've been in plenty of those games over the years where you've not performed with a bat. You then get a team 6, 7, maybe 8 down. Or they're chasing and you've got them just a little bit tight. And then they suddenly find that extra gear where you think you've boxed them into a corner. And that's exactly what Australia did. So a tough loss for South Africa, considering, but they'll be quite proud of the comeback. We need to understand what a par score is in this tournament because I've got no idea at the minute.
It's difficult to put in. I think the things that I'm witnessing is power plays aren't quite as important as what you thought they might be in T20 competitions. The runs per over is the lowest of any international T20 World Cup there's ever been. The highest actually was the first one all the way back in 2015 or whenever it was. So that's another interesting point. But wickets in hand. Don't lose wickets in clusters during those middle overs. If you have a time where your middle order blows out and you're forcing your lower order to try and accelerate in those last 5-6 overs, it's not going to work here. Whereas Australia had wickets in hand. They were 5 down. And then they went big. They went 11 runs, 7 runs, 10 runs, 10 runs, and won it with 2 balls to spare. So you could look at it and say, actually, they rotated the strike really well because you look at the amount of dot balls. Pretorius only bowled 4 dot balls from almost 4 overs. Shamsi with 9, Maharaj with 6, Rabada and Nortje 14 apiece. So they did a really good job of tying things up. But in their defence, they were bowling at David Warner, who still can't get the thing off the square very well. I've got to say it, mate. David Warner, he's gone his last few innings 0-2, 0-1, and a slightly unconvincing 14 today. Didn't quite. I don't think he's going to be there at the end of the World Cup, mate. I don't think they will. I think they're going to have to find an alternative because it's not working.
No, absolutely. Well, we'll have to see. Tactics might change. If we are talking that actually power play is not as important as it was, it might be that they're looking to bring people at the top of the order that are a little bit steadier. Maybe England, Dawid Malan is actually going to be a key person in this tournament if you keep him in there. Yeah. Australia are up next on Thursday. Sri Lanka, they play back in Dubai. And South Africa are back again on Tuesday against West Indies. That's going to be an interesting one to see who bounces back from the two teams that have had the two teams that looked like they were both going to get a bit of a drubbing, but West Indies got a half drubbing and South Africa got a close one in the end. So that's going to be a really interesting game. I'm going to keep my eyes on that one. Josh Hazelwood got the man of the match, the MVP, whatever they're going to call it, in this tournament, 2 for 19. He got the key wickets of de Kock and Rassie van der Dusen, who's a dangerous player there at number 3, sorry. I'm not sure how much Hazelwood credit he gets for that wicket of Quinton de Kock, to be fair. But he only went for 17 as well. Oh, look in the book, mate. That's all you say, isn't it? Sorry, 2 for 19, including a maiden. Just before we finish as well, we completely forgot to say, Moeen Ali, he bowled a wicket maiden in the power play in the England game.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't believe we didn't mention that. So just as we're talking of maidens.
The hat's off again with doffing.
Absolutely. So good cricket. We're up and running. More cricket today. India-Pakistan is going to be an absolute game, isn't it? I can't wait.
Yeah, it is. I'm going back to our Twitter feed. So we asked who's going to win, South Africa or Australia. Twitter got it right. Twitter got it wrong, sorry. 61.5% said South Africa were going to win. And then for the 2 games that we've got going on today, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, 72% they're going to win.
That's
India,
fair.
Pakistan, 57%. Now, these may be by people that seen it and who are Pakistan fans, but Pakistan are a very, very underrated T20 team, especially. They've not beaten India the last 5 times they've played across any World Cup thing since, I think it's 2011 when they beat them in the semi-final. So huge game. Can't wait for it. It's the game of the tournament.
Yeah, if Pakistan win this tournament is getting a very early shaking up.
Yeah. And you know what? There's every chance that Pakistan can go and do that. They've got the players to do it.
Absolutely.
Rizwan's absolute class. Babar Azam is absolute class. Year in, year out, they're putting up incredible numbers right at the top of all the statistics around T20 cricket that you want to see. It's whether their bowling attack can quieten and silence the Indian batting for me. I feel that's where it is going to be won and lost. The Indian batting lineup. If the Indian batting lineup turn up, India are going to win.
Yeah, it's individuals as well, isn't it? If an individual can just take a game, chuck it on its head, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? And Pakistan do have those individuals. India are a better team, better units, I think, but Pakistan have the individuals in the likes of Babar Azam, Shaheen Shah Afridi, and plenty of others, obviously. So, yeah, bring it on. Can't wait. Sri Lanka, Bangladesh as well. The two teams that came through, or 2 of the teams that came through the qualifiers. Yeah. Sri Lanka have got a solid-looking bowling lineup. Shakib Al Hassan was the player of the qualifying tournament as well. He was a leading wicket taker, so it's going to be a really, really tough game for that one. That's the early game, and by the time you've listened to this, I'm sure both games will have been in the books, and we'll be back in a couple of days and see if we can mop up a bit more.
We will. Happy days, mate. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Let us know who you think is going to win. If you listen to this before the India-Pakistan, don't just come and comment afterwards going, I think India's going to win when they've won by 8. Don't be that guy. Let us know before, and thank you for this call, guys. We'll catch you next time.